morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today?
Good morning.
We're all here.
Good morning.
The whole crew.
We're all here because we're not all there.
They are not all there, but we are all here. That's for sure. How's everybody doing today? We're just coming to you live from good old Chicago. Me and EJ flew in yesterday, met Zach and Mike, and we're going to be spending next few days just talking about the Service Alliance Group and making improvements and seeing how we can better serve this beautiful community. So thank you guys for joining us this morning. We appreciate y'all.
So,
How's everybody doing?
Me and TK got some real Chicago experience yesterday as soon as we got in. I got to take the L train. TK got to take a taxi. Real taxi.
A real taxi. It was actually a minivan, but it said taxi on the side. So, and he was a very nice man that drove me here. So, shout out to that guy. I got his card. It was a good day.
Has any of your kids ever asked you, what's a taxi?
No. No. Can you guys hear us okay? We're using some new equipment this morning, so we'll make sure everybody can hear us and coming in clear, all that good stuff.
Zach has to have a Chicago experience on Sunday and ride the train home. So not fully equipped this weekend, but that's all right. It's going to be fun anyway.
You guys want to do some shout outs?
Do some shout
People
outs.
checking in.
We got 1 or 2 people watching us.
We got 8 people watching.
We got Jeremy. What's up, brother?
And none of them is us. Well, maybe.
Jeremy, you know he's dependable.
Jeremy, we love you, brother. Hey, Jeremy, we're actually on Central Time Zone now. So you finally got to see me wake up at 7 to come on here. Gary Parsons.
Good
what's going
morning.
on? Paul Hartman.
Morning, Paul.
He's probably been up all night with them twins. Adam, how do we say it? Schweigel or Schweigel?
I always say Schweigel.
It's Schweigel.
Is it Schweigel?
I think it's Schweigel.
Oh, I've been butchering that one.
All right.
My bad, Adam.
He's from Minnesota. I'm going to guess that I'm safe in saying Schweigel.
Is it Minnesota or Wisconsin?
Minnesota, Wisconsin.
It's
They're
about
literally they're about the same. So we've had that discussion
I mean,
before.
Kentucky, Tennessee, it's the same thing.
Morning, Eric.
Eric, I believe this might be the champ.
Yeah, JT.
Absolute best. Eric J. What's going on? Sound is good. Gary says it's good.
Awesome.
Paul, he can hear it. All right.
The mic is working.
Everybody watching has now checked in. Thank you.
Pretty effective for an iPhone microphone. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I didn't even know that they did that. So that's awesome. Well, EJ's got scripture for us. Anybody want to pray us up or want me to pray us up? I'll pray us up. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for waking us all up. Thank you for time together. And we just pray that you take over this entire week with the Service Alliance Group, that we can better serve this community. Thank you for all the men and women that tune in every morning for the morning ground. We pray you bless them today. Thank you for the opportunity to come together and just spend some time talking about you, talking about life, and talking about our struggles and victories. And we just ask that you watch over us this week and keep everybody safe. And it's in your son's mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
What you got for us, EJ?
Well, first, Adam says, Zach has it right. It's Wisconsin. I said Wisconsin. You said Minnesota.
He's right on the border.
There's a big difference. They have Packers.
They're all out in the boot.
I mean, at some point, all those northern states,
It's all the
merge
same.
together. There's
all
nothing
the
unique about it.
So as I get the scripture and the word ready, make sure today we're going to talk about perseverance and motivation, but also you got all of us here together today and tomorrow. So if you are a Service Alliance member or prospective member and you have questions, concerns, advice, things you want other than checks mailed out to you, let us know. We'll talk about it here. So this comes from Prayers and Promise for Leaders, a little book I got at the airport. And the scripture is 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that in a race, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. And then here's a bonus from 2 Timothy 4:7. I believe this is Paul writing to Timothy, right? I have fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've kept the faith. So when we get done doing whatever it is we're here on this earth to do, we need to be able to say that. We fought the fight. We finished the race. We kept the faith. But, we have to run it. We have to run our life with a purpose, run our businesses with a purpose. We was chatting last night, and I didn't even know it would play into this, but Zach is really focused on the mission and the purpose of what we do with the Service Alliance Group, that each thing would be intentional to add value and serve people. So that's really important here. And I know we already did the prayer, but here's a prayer we could just read that goes with this. Lord, let me run the race of life with perseverance and not give up when life gets tough. It is often through difficulties that I experience the most growth. There is a reward for finishing well. I want to give it my best and not grow weary in the process. With an eternal mindset, I will keep my focus on the end prize. So, and then ask the question, how do you keep yourself motivated? Okay, be a good way to start it off. Zach?
You don't want to start with me. You saw mine this week. I said motivation only carries you so far. What do you do with it after that? So.
And you're exactly right, though, because perseverance is what takes over when motivation is gone. There's often times for me where I'm motivated and I'm pumped up and I'm ready to rock and roll, but there's also times where I'm like, man, I don't want to do this, or wake up and there's drama going on in the Richmond Appliance guys world, or something's going on, and it's like, man, I just don't have that motivation. That's when the perseverance kicked in. You just got to keep going, and you can't let your feelings and how you feel dictate what happens and how you run your business. Because there's plenty of mornings where I wake up and I don't feel like doing the everyday things of running Richmond Appliance guys, but it's got to be done. And that's where perseverance takes place, or takes over. Because you're not going to feel motivated every day. It's just as simple and plain of it, or at least for me.
So where does your perseverance come from?
Paying my bills and feeding my family. My kids like to eat, and so do I. So I got to keep going.
So, I mean, this is a perfect week for this theme, motivation, right? So our motivation and what we do as Service Alliance is often questioned, but what carries us beyond motivation is, in the corner of this room, we got a list of priorities for the weekend. We got a list of things that we want to be able to give back to the community. We want to be able to do for the community, to continue to grow, to educate, to serve the people that we're here to serve. And so, we move from motivation of, we just want to help some people, to, okay, now how do we actually get it done? And that's what Doug and I were talking about on Monday. You got to carry that through into a plan. And so each year we meet as a team in person, and we go through 3 to 4 days of just intensive, what does this look like? Okay, great. Here's our motivation. That's going to carry us a grand total of a week, right? One of us is going to have an ADHD moment and veer off into the weeds, right? And so motivation only carries you so far. But if you have a plan, so last year we had a plan, right? We were talking about that on yesterday. Mike and I were talking about it on the way up. We came up with a game plan in Cincinnati last year when we got together for this meeting, and we accomplished 80% of that.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we accomplished 80% with all the crap that we had going on last year was phenomenal. But it was a miracle, and it wasn't a miracle. We had a game plan, and we followed the game plan. So when the motivation ran out, when we had no gas left to give, we were able to carry through Because we had a punch list of things that were important. We had a why behind it. And so when you begin to, great, here's my motivation. That's like that first, like, gritty layer when you're building a foundation. And then, you know, you build on top of that with another more solid substrate.
Right.
And then you start pouring the concrete. You know what I mean? Like, you begin to build this whole building. And so motivation is that very first layer. And you have to transition out of that. And that's what this weekend is about for us. This is what we do each year.
Like this is a really motivating weekend for us because we get to sit and just throw all the ideas at the wall. And by the end of it, whatever's stuck, that's what we're going to do, you know, and we just throw every idea out there and then we prioritize, right? And for me, it's the fun part, right? It's the planning. It's like seeing the plan come together. And for me, it's very motivating. But the implementation, when it comes time to implement, after that motivation and you start implementing, you're like, oh crap, this is where the work comes in, guys. And now we got to churn it out and we got to actually do something. Yeah. And that's the hard part. And that's where it becomes mundane and boring and, you know, and trying to keep yourself motivated through all that. But that's where, like, we call each other all the time and we lean on each other. You know, you gotta have that support system,
right.
You know, and you guys out there watching and listening and giving us feedback. The feedback is extremely motivating to us.
Yeah.
And we really need that, you know, and we really need that push from you guys. And it's really encouraging to see you guys engaged with us, you know, throughout the process. So I'd like to motivate you guys to stay engaged, keep pushing, say hi, watch us on the morning grind, you know, comment in the comments. Just
when we post a thing in the owners group and we're like, hey, what are you looking to see from us this year? Answer the dang question. We really want your feedback. Like, it's not rhetorical, you know, it's genuine. Like, we can't.
Zach's kicking the butt for you this morning. You know, I want to kind of summarize what everybody said because I was patiently waiting my turn. But yes, motivation can get you so far. Perseverance, but Mike kind of hinted at the other piece of that, because perseverance is your why, right? We like to say start with your why, right? Why do you do what you do every day? What gets you out of bed other than bills? I mean, some people it is just bills, TK, but what is it that makes you want to get up and do more today than you did yesterday? And you know, I've got my whys, and you guys have seen it, and we don't need to drag it on with that. But the other end of it that Mike alluded to is the accountability. Like, we're accountable to each other. We're accountable to our teams and our personal businesses. We're accountable to you guys that watch and subscribe and do the different things. But we have a reason why we do this. And some people think it's money, and I promise it's not. But people have helped us improve and grow. And we all feel the call to continue that and take it down to each level. So we want to be people that help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. Or if you're already made it way farther, then we want to highlight you and put you in front of people to help them. Now, we do have a question or a comment. I haven't read it yet. It's from Paul, so hopefully it's appropriate. Paul says, something that would be good to talk about and keep in mind is data storage, protection, and recovery. I'm in the process of setting up an overkill setup right now that is 90 terabytes in NAS, whatever that means.
Network attached storage.
I figured you knew. After RAID, it will be 54 terabytes. I will have one set up at mine, one at my parents, and one in the cloud. It's overkill, and I will never fill it up. Well, this is a Zach topic right here.
So you asked what was on the back of my laptop, and I have 4 terabytes hard drive attached right to the back of my laptop, and I carry that with me everywhere. That's how I can do video editing while we're out and about on trips and stuff like that. And at the end of it, it typically does not take a full year to fill that up. So I have just like those notebook style, like
Yeah.
Western Digital, whatever. They're like 20 or 30 terabytes, whatever, 12, 16, whatever. So I buy one of those. They're like $200 or $300, and every year. So listen,
That's the backup for your backups.
listen, if I can manage to fit an entire year of video editing content onto, a 32 or 40 terabyte, like one of those drives, like you can, I promise you can get a cheaper one even. But what I do is at the end of the year, and then if you go into my fire storage safe, all those years are marked. I can go back and I can pull those hard drives out of the fire storage safe and get them. And yes, having cloud storage, like you want to have it in multiple locations. And I learned that same thing from a friend of mine that was IT for Aldi. They would have like physical storage in a fire safe, and then they would have cloud storage in different spaces. That's kind of the advantage, like for your business. If a lot of your stuff is in the cloud, great, but still make sure that you have access to that somewhere. If Google servers go down, if QuickBooks servers go down, if Housecall Pro goes down, whatever, just make sure you have a backup of that somewhere. It's not a ton of data, I promise. Like, when you're talking about the video storage that I do, there's times where one video is like
A lot.
it's just mind blowing. Some of them I've done 64 gig videos. I mean, like, it's just mind blowing, right? So your little PDF is like 100 megabytes, right? So just download it, have some type of organization. If you look in my drive is, I got the Alliance, I have church, I have work, I have roofing, I have courses. Like, I have everything mapped out in a folder, and then within the folders, I have folders. So whatever you do, just be organized with what you're doing so you can
Even
easily
those
find it.
backups should be synchronized. So you can, if you're purging off of one, like say the cloud storage end, you also want it purged on your hard drive backup.
Yeah.
So synchronization is key.
For the rest of us,
All right.
other than talking about organization, I think we all fell asleep there for a second.
Well, it happened.
I'm just kidding.
You had me at terabyte.
Terabyte.
Lost you a terabyte?
Yeah.
So
If she bites, you might want to be careful, man. That's all I got to say. She's a biter. You want to be careful.
yeah, don't
Gotta
ever
watch out for Tara.
don't ever
Yeah.
date a
If
terror.
Tara bites, you might want to stay away from her.
Jeremy mentioned in here, it's just fun to give the shout out. It says his motivation is my family, passion for the trade, and accountability to his mentors. Now, Jeremy's one that has accountability partners. He's part of the mastermind. He's been a part of pretty much all of them, I think. And he has people that keep him accountable. Then we got
I think let's talk about that for a second, because he said passion for the trade. That's huge. When you're passionate about what you're doing, there's a ton of motivation there. And I think that's key. And we were even talking about it yesterday when we were sitting around just hanging out brainstorming. If you're passionate and skilled at something, that'll take you a long way as far as motivation goes. Like, I love appliance repair. I love going out to customers' houses. I love dealing with the customer. Zach shaking his head because he hates it. He's not passionate about that. But that passion that Jeremy has, where he says a passion for this trade, Mike's passionate about marketing and SEO. You can talk to Mike for 20 minutes and you know that he's passionate about marketing and websites and things like that. So that's a big thing. I think passion can really help you, but just like we said earlier, what do you do when that runs out?
Well, passion precedes a goal, right? You got to have your goal set up, and I'm the first one to hound on the goals all the time. And I was just sharing with you guys, like, I had one set of goals that we talked about earlier. and I went in, our company got bought out, and I went in and I talked with the new owner, and he gave me like a spreadsheet, and we're breaking stuff down, and he's like, no, keep going, buddy. And so I punched in my new numbers, and he goes, it made him smile, right? Like he saw the numbers and he's like, you're going to do it. Right. And that starts with passion, right? So I'm shaking my head. No, I don't want to go on. Nope. Don't want to repair an appliance at all.
That's your passion.
I love selling. And I light up about it, right? I can talk about it. And so I take that passion, I create a goal around it, and then I get out and do it. Right. And when it gets hard, and when you get, doors slammed in your face and stuff like that, we were talking about it last night. The two big keys for me in the last 2 years, and I think you experienced the same thing, EJ. So what? Who's next? So what? What's next? Like those two phrases have really helped to carry me when that motivation smacks you in the face and you're like, I don't even want to do this. And the goal is like, I just don't care right now. So what? Who's next? So what? I
think the key at the way is the way we approach it. And I think if we approach every customer with the focus that we're helping them, or anything that we do, in life, if you approach it with the intention of helping others, then that's going to keep you motivated, because it's going to keep your intentions pure, right? Or way more pure than if you were self-serving. And I think if once we start focusing on ourselves, and it's all about the money, and it's about our wants and needs, and what we want to deal with, that's where everything starts to break down. And I think that's where our motivation goes away, our purpose goes away, and if we just stay focused on those types of things and actually serving others and helping people, and what do we have to offer others, it's just going to compound itself over and over and over again. And it's like that bank account that you just keep pouring into. Eventually it's just going to keep building up, and pretty soon it's going to be way more than you ever thought was in there.
I've
right?
never had that problem.
Sounds like a
But
good problem.
I have the opposite of that. Like when you're talking about serving people, what do you do when the people suck?
Well,
Right? What do you do when you run into that one customer? You're just like,
people are going to suck, but your intentions were still to help them. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to accept that help. We've got people in our community that we want to help,
and
that
that was the point.
they don't want it,
So
and that's on them. That's their decision.
Right.
But it doesn't change your focus.
guys, don't get mad at us. I'm running the behind the scenes here. The guys can't see that you got some comments. So let's switch gears a bit.
Let's hit them.
And first, we'll give a shout out to Eric Jones. I hung out with Eric
He's
all
cool,
week
dude.
last week, and I didn't even realize that he's an EJ too.
Oh yeah.
What's up, EJ?
Dude, Eric is what? Do I know him?
He's a service manager for JT.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
he says, what keeps you and your team motivated to keep grinding? So I know what keeps me motivated. I haven't figured out what keeps my guys motivated. That's one of my struggles for this year. What have you guys that have had some success in this? Maybe TK.
What, as far as keeping your guys motivated?
Yeah, what keeps your team motivated?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to know your team, because every single team member is going to be motivated in different ways. I'll give you a perfect example. I have 2 techs working for me right now, and one is 100% money motivated. Money is his motivator. He wants to work Saturdays. If there's an extra job, he wants to run it. So as far as motivating him, we are actually it's a good topic because we're actually in the process right now of putting together some incentive programs for our techs. And we want them to be flexible because we want them to cater to whatever motivates you. If your motivation is extra time off, well, then your incentive needs to be extra time off. If your motivation is more money, then your incentive needs to be more money. So we're actually in the process right now. EJ was talking about this recently with me, and we're putting together quarterly incentive programs where if you hit these specific numbers, you can either have a week off, paid vacation, extra, or you can just have a paid extra week for putting in your bank. So it depends on the person. Each person's motivated differently.
That's the perfect thing though. You have to figure out. You want to know how to motivate your team? Get to know your dang team.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to spend time with your team. You have to learn what motivates them. You know what I mean? Like you can't do it without if you think you can run a team and just be like this, like, you know, person behind the curtain, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like though. I love people, but dealing with people sometimes is exhausting. I just want to like push some buttons in the background, make some plans and strategies, and just go do the place. I want to be the coach, but I don't want to be the motivator. I just expect people to come motivated. Like TK said, I love fixing appliances. I love helping people and just fixing things in general. And that's partly the same with you as selling. I like selling repairs because it means I get to help them. So I just expect, it may be unreasonable, that people come into work for a job that they like, to serve the people they serve because they want to, and they're just going to do a good job. But that's not how life is. So we got to figure out what makes everybody tick and then do it that way. And that's the agonizing part of being an owner. But a little shameless plug. If you like that incentive plan that TK was talking about, and you're looking for a change in your career in the Lexington, Kentucky area, let me know, because I have that.
EJ's got you. If you want to move to somebody said they don't know how to play the banjo, so they can't move there or something like that.
I say that all the time.
That's hilarious.
So, Mike, we're going to ring your bell now. Brandon Benton says, just curious. I pay an SEO company and my Google business profile is suspended. Should they know and be able to manage that account or no? They didn't recognize it was suspended and couldn't recognize why my Google ranking fell.
Well, that's a touchy one.
Mike, you're the one that called me and told me, hey,
Yeah.
Google's suspended. I was like, yeah, I got.
I mean, if they're a good SEO company, number one, it's all about the scope of the work, right? And what's included in what you're paying for. So you should know that for number one. What is their service including? You know, in my case, I manage Google business profiles as part of my SEO service.
Yeah.
So I monitor that and everything that goes along with it and optimize it on a monthly basis. So it depends. That's why I said it's a touchy subject, because if it's not part of their service, how can you expect them to monitor it, even if they had access to it? You know, it doesn't mean that they're actively, that it's actively part of your service that you're paying for.
Yeah.
You know,
so it may not be their fault.
Yeah, it may not be their fault. It could, you know, in EJ's case, I'll call you out. He made a mistake, and it wiped out what 3-4 profiles that you had got suspended. So.
Yeah.
But we were just talking on the way up here. Google has been like massive bombing updates out, and so there's a lot of weird changes going on. They're de-indexing sites, doing all sorts of crazy stuff right now. So
I'm gonna give you guys a heads up real quick. The other day, a couple days ago, Google just released 2 very, very big updates to their algorithm, and one of them is a spam update, and sites are being de-indexed everywhere, and Google business profiles are getting suspended like crazy. If I can tell you right now, you probably shouldn't touch your Google business profile over the next month, because these updates, Google said, are going to take a month to get fully rolled out, which means a lot of things are going to be changing. Rankings are going to be up and down all over the place because of everything with the algorithm updates needing to be rolled out, and things change on an hourly and daily basis. So if you're tracking your rankings, don't get too focused on it. Just let everything settle. it'll be okay. But I wouldn't touch your Google business profile for probably at least 3 weeks from now. Just let everything go and don't risk it now.
If your website looks and sounds like everyone else, you need to get a reputable company, itdwebdesign.com.
And Mike, for those that aren't like me and TK, that want to hear more about the marketing, you got that new podcast. You want to give a plug to it for those that watch and want to know more about that?
Yeah.
I pay a guy to do mine. Sometimes.
It's called the Local Marketing Lounge, and it's youtube.com/ITD Web Design. And just go subscribe. I got a couple of videos. The first couple are out, but I'm going to continue and start ramping up even more. So it's all about local business and how to get more visible online.
It seems like from and I'm probably the least knowledgeable when it comes to Google stuff, but it seems like every time I hear about somebody's stuff getting messed up, it's because they went in and did something without talking to someone that knows. Like every time I hear, like my biggest tip is don't touch it. Like you guys that are out there, like I don't touch my Google stuff. If anything has to do with that, I call Mike and say, "Hey, Mike, what should I do?"
You know what the perfect metaphor of that is, right? Like, so you guys are out there doing appliance repair and you get pissed off at homeowners when they're, taking apart the dryer. Stop touching the dang Google.
Yeah. Exactly.
I tell all my customers, you guys can use this on your own customers too. I use this statement with every single one of my customers. When I'm done with something and I hand everything over, I tell them, you know what? If you don't know what the hell you're doing, just remember this. The more you break, the more I make.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And that usually shuts everybody down.
I like that.
The
more you break, the more I make.
Yeah, and that opens you up. You told them you screw it up, I'm gonna charge you to fix it. So
somebody should make that their motto for their appliance repair company. The more you break, the more I make.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I love that.
So Paul's chiming in on the motivation. He says, honestly, millennials want both time off and money. I mean, don't everybody? They just don't want to. Just pay me as much as you can, and I'll do just enough to keep you happy. A hybrid between the both. Maybe you're reaching a goal and they choose the reward or incentive that works best for them that week or month.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea with what TK and I were working out was, we got to set certain criteria to give the guidelines to what they need to do to show their motivation to continue earning paychecks. And if they do a little bit more in certain categories, then we're going to bless them.
Yeah.
Time off or money, whichever they choose. And it's a way of taking care of the people that work hard for you every day. As an employee, my whole life, I just wanted to be appreciated. People say, what's your love language? Well, of course I like money. I like time off, but I'm more of a words of affirmation. Like I don't want only that. Like don't just say you did a great job and then give the next guy a $10,000 bonus, right? I want the money too, but
you like an attaboy every once in a while.
Let me know I'm doing a good job, right? And
good job running the comments, buddy.
Yeah, you're doing great.
doing great.
I just feel patronized. Did I use that word correctly?
You did.
Congratulations. I did good, didn't I?
That should be a theme 1 week. Patronization.
Yeah.
You have to set guidelines to know them to know when they're succeeding. And we talk about reviews for our customers to tell us that we're doing well. We need to give our team feedback to what they're doing well or what they're not doing well.
Yeah.
Because not telling people where they're failing as a leader, you're just basically setting everybody else up for failure and resentments. And I don't know which one's worse.
Yeah.
I've already been vocal about it, but I went through the AA program, and one of the things that they say, just as a little saying, expectations are premeditated resentments. So if you set expectations with people, then that's fine. But this is talking about expectations where you don't tell anybody. Like when I wake up,
Assumed expectations.
when I wake up and I just assume everybody's going to play the role that I have for them in their head and everything goes the way like a storybook TV show and everything's going to be great. Like this is my idea of what great looks like. And I don't share it with anybody. Well, they're set up for failure because they're playing their own show and expecting things out of everybody else around them. And that's when we get frustrated and aggravated with people. And, you know, I learned this last year that I have to communicate clearly what the expectations are. So that way I don't set myself up. So Dave Ramsey said, you know, when you have somebody that's failing over and over and over again, and you get past that, it's me until it's not me, right? And you finally realize it's them. They just don't want to do the job anymore. You don't fire them. They fired themselves.
Mhm.
You're setting them free to go do something else that they might actually be good at. Most people genuinely want to succeed. They just need to know what it looks like. I like to say, tell me the rules of the game and I'll play it accordingly. You know, like if somebody told me, like we were talking TK, you have an opportunity to earn up to 4 additional paid weeks off or an extra $1,000 every month, right? Turn me up.
Can I have a job?
Just tell me what I got to do and I'm going to do it. But I have to know what the expectation is. I want to win. That's what we want to do. What does winning look like? And I'll tell you, part of that is what motivates me to keep going. I have a vision for what I think winning looks like for the Service Alliance Group, for EJ's Appliance Repair, for the Johnson household, you know, for each thing. And that drives
a good boss can create that vision, right? So I'm thinking about the guy, and we're 1099, but I'm still going to call him boss. El Jefe can set a vision for what success looks like, right? So he gave me that spreadsheet, that breakdown, and it says, like, if you want to make this much, here's the work that you got to do, and here's what it looks like along the way. You want to make this much, here's the work, and here's what it looks like along the way. You want to make this much? You really want to smile? Here's the work, and here's what it looks like. And then can go beyond that and go, like, you can do that in your sleep. Like this, whatever. If that's your goal, like, fine, I'll help you. But like, I think that's crap for you. And you've kind of gave me the feedback that's crap. Oh, okay, yeah. I honestly think that's a shit. I really think you can nail this, and here's how I think you can do it. You cast that vision with them. Yeah. So I love the guys that we started to go with True Roof, right? Like they just didn't have enough experience to know each bucket. And so when we got bought out by a guy that's been doing it a lot longer, and he's able to look and go boom, 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 and like give you those numbers, it's like, all right, cool. That's what a success path looks like. And so as service business owners, that's your job. You've already had some level of success, right? So cast that vision of what success looks like. If you want to make X amount, it looks like doing you know, and break it down.
I think a lot of the problem is most business owners are just average. Their employees are just average. And the expectations of all of that combined are just average. But then the business owner decides out of the blue, I don't want to be average. I want to go here. I want to go way above and beyond.
culture shock.
But the problem with that is they don't realize if you want to be extraordinary, then you can't do what everybody else is doing. You've got to do what everybody else is not willing to do. You've got to be able to really go out of your comfort zone and really ramp yourself up and do a lot of work that no one else is willing to do. And I think that's where people don't realize how much work it's going to be, or they're not willing to put in the work because they want results without the change.
Yeah.
and how many hang on to people that they shouldn't hang on to? I mean, I would hello,
Absolutely.
way too many for way too long. You and I have talked about that. We held on to people for way too long. And the reality is like the 80-20 rule is very real, right? Like I've seen that 80-20 play out more times than I can count. You got 20% that's going to make 50% of the money, and you got 80% that's going to make the other 50. And so what are you doing to bring up that middle chunk, right? Because there's really a bottom 20% and a top 20%, and then there's that middle chunk. So what are you doing to move that middle chunk into that top 20%? How are you helping to cast the vision? If you're constantly catering to that bottom 20% that just does not care, is not motivated, is less than stellar, that's on you as an owner, right? Like, and again, like, there's no attack. This is from my experience. I cater to that bottom 20%, trying to elevate them when I should have been catering to that middle percentage and moving them into the rock star status. That was on me, you know? So it's, and that is some of that motivation. You figure out what motivates them, you cast the vision, and you move them through by setting goals and setting targets and giving attaboys, giving, like there's an entire process to it.
I agree. I think that
We have more comments.
I think the one thing everybody needs to realize, taken from this grind this morning, is your team is there, but it's your responsibility to get to know them and help motivate them. I have been guilty in the past of getting very complacent with my team, and every single time I do it, it bites me in the ass, without a doubt. Give you a perfect example. I was not keeping up with my recall KPIs about a year ago. I was just real busy. Stuff was crazy. I knew the recalls were flying in, but I wasn't tracking it like I should have, and I lost so much money. But once I started measuring it, like Mike says all the time, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. Once I started measuring it and being diligent about doing my KPIs each month, I was able to paint the picture for my technician that was struggling with recalls of how much money we're losing, and motivated him. And he took that, he was at like a 10% recall rate, and he's down to below 5% now, which is awesome, which is our goal. But I set that goal for him. I said, look, man, you have until X date to get this recall rate down, and we're going to have to do something different because we're losing money hand over fist. And now he's one of my, him and Ethan are killing it. But if I hadn't been measuring that and spending time with them, me and Austin both do ride-alongs with our guys on a monthly basis. If you're not out there doing ride-alongs with your guys, is it the funnest thing in the world to to not work in the office that day or not run calls and ride with somebody? It's not the funnest thing in the world, but make it fun. Make it something that you look forward to. Take them out to lunch, whatever, but spend some time with your team. Get to know them and actually see what drives them. Robert, my guy that I was just talking about, he's 100% money motivated. We implemented a new morning thing that we're doing where we meet in the morning, then run our first call. As soon as I implemented it, he was like, I want an extra call at the end of the day because I'm missing my first call that day. He's money motivated. He doesn't want to. That was the first thing he said. He said, if I'm missing my 9 a.m., I need a 4 to 6. And I love that about him. Whereas, other guys that we've had, they just want to get off. They want to knock their calls out as quickly. And I'm not a huge fan of that, but
neither is wrong though. Each person,
right,
as long as they're doing the work that's assigned to them, and maybe a little more if they want to do more, great.
Yeah,
just whatever motivates them.
Exactly. And that's why, like with these incentive programs, I wanted to cater to what their drive is. If they want to have an extra week off, hey, you hit these numbers, you hit these reviews, you don't miss any work, whatever the plan is, you hit these things, you can have that week off, or you can work an extra week and get an extra $1,000, whatever it is for you. So get to know your team, guys. That will motivate everybody. Get to know them and spend time with them. It's important. We're wrapping this thing up.
So, if you're in the Service Alliance Group business owners page, go over there. We did post the other day. We did ask you what you wanted to see from us this year. I'm going to share some of our priorities that we're looking at, and we're going to and this is in no particular order. We're just kind of trying to figure out where this stuff lays. Put your comments in that group, guys. Literally, put your comments in the group. That's why we're asking you. So, we're talking mastermind. We're into the retool this year. We have a good template. So we're talking what the rhythm is going to be for the rest of the year. And then we're going to announce that, the complete mastermind schedule and rhythm, job descriptions for us and how things are changing and learning like what each of our giftings is as we've had a year doing this, like steady, like fully integrated, live events as Service Alliance Group, courses as Service Alliance Group, YouTube and Facebook, and then generating some passive income to be able to bounce back into the community and do some of these fun things that we really want to do. So let us know what you think is important. Let us know what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. We really do take that feedback, and this is the time of year where we then begin to make a plan, to make a pivot, motivation to a goal, to execution, right? So we're gonna go get after it today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the grind. And then again, we're gonna be out and doing what we got to do to help serve you guys better. See you next time on the grind, guys.
Thank you,
Peace.
everybody.